By 1950, the railways of the island of Sodor had spread out so rapidly that very few people lived over 10 miles from their local station. All the major branch lines had been completed. The Sodor mainland east branch to Norrby, the Sodor mainland south to Kirkronan, the Sodor mainland north to Peel Godred, the Wellsworth and Sudbury to Brendam, the Knapford and Elsbridge to Farquhar, and the northwestern to Arlesborough. All these branch lines had one thing in common. They all spread out to the most remote rural areas. The land had truly been ironed. And while the Northwestern evolved to become the main railway network of Sodor, other companies sprung and scattered around Sodor. There were much smaller companies that built their own little railways, serving rural towns and countrysides, or reaching quarries and industries that the Northwestern Rail simply couldn't reach without budgetary complications or simply terrainial issues. Some of the smaller lines brought trains containing goods and passengers down from other such places to either be transferred to road or rail. One of these small lines has and is still showing immortal status. Well, our narrow gauge line was originally constructed as a horse-worked plateway between Krosny Kern and the 1865 closed station of Balladwale. When steam traction came along in 1865, it was a huge achievement. A similar railway was built sometime after the Scarlow Railway, running from Arlesborough to King Orry's Bridge, earning the name of the Mid-Sodor Railway. Traffic declined slowly before the final demise of the railway in the late 40s. Meanwhile, in the north of Sodor at Kirkmatchin, a mountain railway, being an idea of the MSR, was constructed, with Swiss-built mountain engines being sent to run this line, which was reminiscent of the Snowdon Mountain Railway in Wales. During its construction, the Mid-Sodor was required to supply the line with all the ballast and rails they needed, and the railway opened 4 years before I was even built, with number 1 quickly vanishing from service. Around 2 decades after the days of the Mid-Sodor were numbered, the rails once again returned to their old track bed, when ballast mines were found and considered useful for relaying and newly laying. So a 15-inch gauge railway was built between Arlesborough West and said mines, before finally gaining passenger traffic at a later stage. Most of these lines have helped with major refurbishments for the Northwestern Railway, as well, of course, as their willingness to fully upgrade their rail network. We shall find out more on that next week.
Train on a journey, train on a track, take me where I want to go, take me back. Building the line by the sweat of your brow and the strength of your own hand, with stone, steel and sand, ironing the land. Railway sleeper, get no rest, ride the iron horse into the west, with a pick and a shovel to the mountain pass, the boys of the Barrow gang, with stone, steel and sand, ironing the land.